Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. No, this is not a video about that pack that just popped up. Hooray. Instead, we've got information on the summoning events that are coming with the Path of the Lost, which starts tomorrow. Very controversial path, and judging from the very nice rewards, it's going to be very expensive. So we're hoping for some good summons. Let's see what happens. So, first up, I did my first take on this and said the wrong thing. So we're re-recording it. On the 17th of July, it's 3x for speed from Dragon, which is really, really good. It's a great time to farm Dragon, so that is cool. There is Dungeon Divers as part of this path. So, yeah, it's not a phenomenal way to spend your energy, like versus doing the Corrosa event dungeon. I'd say Pinpoint is better than speed, but this is still decent and hopefully relatively farmable for people. Dragon is the easiest dungeon, so yeah. On Saturday, the 19th of July, 3x Provoke set from Ice Golem. That's a bit of a tougher sell. A Provoke set is okay for Hydra, though as they add ever more Provoke champions, that is a better way, a more consistent way than relying on Provoke sets, whereas Provoke sets were quite important when they first made Hydra provocable. Provoke sets are pretty okay for Faction Wars Hard. And for Curse City, Doom Tower progression, that sort of stuff, they've got a higher chance to land than stun sets. It's just not as good of a debuff, but it can often do enough to get you through. So yeah, Provoke sets are fine. If you don't have any, it's an alright thing to farm. If you do have some Provoke sets already, obviously it's kind of useless. So yeah, then here we go, the summon events. And let's zoom it in because there's a lot to go over here. Here we go. So, there. Thursday, 17th of July, we've got the Cheshire Cat, Quilcha the Ash Arrow, Thor Feyhammer, Tholan Falbeard, Mountain King, and then from the Voids, we've got Georgid, Onryo, and Volcanen. That's pretty spicy. Lots of stuff in here. I think Cheshire, or Cheshire, I always forget how to actually say it properly. The English pronunciation is always weird. Cheshire, I think. I think the Cheshire Cat, Thor, and Tholan are all pretty similar champions. I will say Quilcha is definitely the worst one here. Unfortunately, my Irish pride is sad. I think he's not great. The idea with him was, whenever anyone's turn meter gets decreased, he gets more damage. And then whenever his turn meter drops really low, he gets block debuffs and gets an extra turn. So it's sort of the idea is Armand's comes in, steals all your turn meter, and tries to stun you. Well, you get blocked debuffs, you get an extra turn, and then you get loads of boosted damage, and you nuke the enemy team. In reality, I think he's probably not that useful. He's not horrendous, but I think he's fairly average. He does hit pretty hard. You'll fight against him in Faction Wars hard. People like him moderately. I feel like this is about right. He's like a 3.5 to 4 sort of champ. He's okay. Not a champion I would personally chase. I don't have him, and I wouldn't be chasing him in a progressive. These ones are really good, though. Thor and Tholan. My personal rating would be Cheshire first, Thor second, Tholan third. I probably rate them somewhere like that. Obviously, Tholan is the most recent fusion. It'd be really weird if you were pulling for him. That would be a strange one, but you never know. But he's a good AoE damage dealer and a good single target damage dealer. He's a good champ. Thor is very similar. I think slightly better. Yeah, I think Thor's slightly better. He does a bit more damage. He's pumping out some AoE stuns, and he's cooler as well. And then I think Cheshire Cat is probably a bit better than those as well. Very similar, just AoE spam machine. Also and they all self-buff increase attack. The Cheshire Cat has a cool passive for Arena, which makes him a bit more relevant. And Demon Spawn, there's some spicy stuff happening in that faction with the faction unity for Arena as well. And he's very good for Hydra too. I don't know. You could look at the leaderboards to directly compare. They're all going to be relatively similar, like good damage dealers for Hydra, but all ultimately irrelevant in the face of Titus and Trunda, as are basically all other damage dealers, unless you're doing it for fun. But yeah, he's I would personally put him first. So that would be my order. Cheshire, then Thor, then Tholan. And I think it's unlikely you pull for Tholan. Not too taken with Quilcha. And Mountain King, he's been reworked. Haven't really seen much of him since his rework, so I'm actually not 100% sure. But he has like I think he has an extra turn on this now. Yeah, so he's got a 50% ignore defense and extra turn if he kills somebody. His A3 decrease the cooldown of his extra turn move if he kills somebody. A1 just gives him some turn meter, and he gets loads of attack if he kills people. Though his damage scales off HP and attack, so the crazy attack scaling is not too insane, but still strong. I think he's good. I think he's probably a bit of fun, but I don't know. I wouldn't be too pushed about pulling for him either. I stand to be corrected though. Perhaps like he could have a cool place. Definitely for like siege mode for the future. You know, with Arnorn as well. Like Mountain King does have some potential, I think, to be a monster for siege for dwarf posts and stuff. So I don't know. He's a maybe, but yeah. Georgid, Onryo, and Volcanan. Volcanan last. Georgid's very good. They're similar to this. And Onryo is very good. Probably equals sort of enough to the Cheshire Cat. Yeah, that's sort of how I think about it. Georgid, obviously, he's the classic classic. Big, ignore all the defensive buffs, including Stone Skin, crucially. An extra turn if you kill an enemy, but big one-shot. He's got a big AoE, hits really hard as well. It's his passive that makes him hit so hard, but it is a bit random. That's sort of the problem with him. It's the 50-50, which is a bit random. His A1, it's a 30% chance to repeat the attack. If it repeats, it's crazy damage. If it doesn't, it's not crazy damage. So there's a lot of randomness going on with him, but he is very good. I think Onryo is very nice. Yasu is a very, very strong champion for Hydra. Again, very similar number sort of realm, I would think, to Cheshire Cat and Thor and all of those, I would guess. Again, I'd have to double check the leaderboards to actually see, but I think so. But he's pretty sick for Arena, right? Because he's got a very powerful A1 with extra turn if he kills an enemy. If you lock this guy out, he can just get a bunch of extra turns and then go. He can block Revive on his A2. He ignores Stone Skin and Shield on his A3. He splashes damage, which is cool. But yeah, he's pretty legit. I've been wrecked a couple of times in Arena by an Onryo who just like A1s his way through my team and then takes out my Stone Skin person at the end. You know, if you're not protected, he can wreck you. So yeah, he's actually quite cool. I know some of the Krakens really like Onryo. So yeah, that's how I think about that. For the epics, Enda, Firegun, Aishma, Akemtum, and Weregran. Akemtum's actually really nice. I quite like Firegun, and then I don't think the others are particularly useful. Like, maybe they're okay, I don't know. And Weregran kind of sucks, I think, as well. So, yeah, I think Firegun is the most genuinely useful of the epics. She's actually not bad. And Dwarves is a bit weak, I think, as a faction for faction wars and stuff. But she has AoE with Weaken, which is cool. Extra turn, potentially. And then she's got single target bombs, and she can potentially debuff spread and put bombs on everybody. They do good damage. So she's just a really solid damage dealer who happens to bring weakens, which is cool. So she's not spectacular, but she's good. Akemtum would be the main epic here that I think is really good. I use double Akemtum for many stages of Faction Wars Hard versus Skinwalkers. The dude's insane. Reason he's so good is you can trigger sets off of this effect. So if you put him in a stun set, when you trigger this bonus damage, it can stun enemies. So you put a couple of Akemtums together, you're always going to have Hex up. You can just alternate them and alternate them in each wave, whatever you want. They each independently start stacking and then spreading poisons. And you can just wipe through the waves really quickly, stun them. I think I didn't have any Arachne Elixirs for them. But if you gave him Arachne Elixir, it'd be even more insane. Yeah, he's really legit. And you could do some fun stuff in like dungeons with him as well. So I think he's actually really, really good epic. Kind of underrated, actually. And then on Saturday, so the way these summon events work, we've got this Thursday. So Thursday and Friday, you've got this first set, which is decent. Not crazy, but it's decent. And then Saturday and Sunday, you've got another set. So let's take a look. Is this better? Is it worse? It's got better epics. We'll see about these. Ooh, Kaimar, Ancora, Pythion, Theodore, Stock the Broken, and then from the Voids to Hanorach, Warlord, and Venus. Yeah, I'd say it's a better day overall. So Kaimar, very, very nice. If you do not have a full team reset champion, he opens up so much in terms of speed farms for dungeons, Doom Tower, which is massive. It's such a huge time save for an account Every account wants to have some sort of reset champion. He's El Clasico. I think he's also pretty good in like a supersonic set in arena. He's got a good aura. He can remove buffs and potentially sleep. He's cool. Very strong for Faction Wars hard, even if it's just a poison champ. Just spam it. Spam his A1 and like a fast stun set, 100% crit. He's spamming out poisons, doing good damage and stuns. He's really strong. So Kymar is definitely you want a Kymar. And Korra is really good as well. Yeah, just a great champion because of her passive protecting your highest crit damage character from crowd control. And then she's kind of protected as well. She's got a very solid revive. Yeah, just a very, very solid reviver. And Korra is great. Depends. If you've already got a reset champ, she might be more useful than Kymar. If you don't have a reset champ, Kymar, definitely. Python, very solid. Definitely not as good as Ankora, but he is ridiculously, stupidly good for Faction Wars for Lizards. Like, stupidly good. Yeah, he just keeps your team alive, right? You take less damage, massive heal, block debuffs, AoE revive, healing on his A1. Dude is simple. He is the definition of a tanky reviver. He is the definition. Now, he's not like exceptional on like doing a bunch of other crazy shit like the Mythicals, the Galathier and I forget her name, the Theodosia, like that. They're doing some crazy shit. Like they're doing a whole bunch of other stuff. But Python's super solid. Again, he's a massive carry for Lizard Faction Wars hard. And just, Lizard Faction Wars in general. So he's cool. I think it's not as like I'd use Ankora a lot more for like Siege and Arena, and Kymar for dungeons. Python I don't use half as much, but he probably has fairly equal impact actually. I think both of these champs are also ridiculous for Faction Wars hard progression. Theodore I think is really good as well. Yeah, Theodore is phenomenal. He's one of the best champs I never got that opens up some interesting and unique teams, but the dude, he comes in, he puts out AoE poisons with poison sensitivity and increased speed on your team. Then this is the crucial thing. He can blow up, activate poisons and burns, but he increases their duration before he activates them, which means that unlike other people who are activating poisons and burns and make them tick down and expire, he doesn't do that. So you can potentially like really start stacking up the poisons on a wave. And yeah, they don't run out. If you're really fast, you can just really stack them up and really get this explosion strong. Poison explosion, more relevant for normal dungeons. HP burn explosion, quite relevant for some stuff. He also puts out a weaken. It's okay. A1 is an AoE decrease speed. It's like Krisk's A1, but he's not void. And yeah, he's got a good passive. He's a really, really good champion. I've seen some people using him for Chimera because he can be your for Chimera, he can be your increased speed and decreased speed champion, whilst also doing some alright damage with poison sensitivity, which opens up some trials, which is kind of cool. So yeah, he's got some potential, and he's got potential for dungeon runs and stuff like that. He is a very, very cool champ. I suspect he's very strong for Faction Wars too. So yeah, Theodore, he's very good. I'll leave him there. Maybe Kymar a bit ahead. Yeah, I know, something like that. Stock is really nice. I like Stock a lot. Probably not quite as... I don't know. I'd say probably people would find Python a bit more straightforward and more generally useful, but Stock's really good. Previous Fusion, very underrated. He's ugly, I think. Poor Stock, he's ugly, but he's great, man. Like, the dude, he's putting out AoE poisons, loads of them, and a weaken as well. Great. If they're under burn, you need the weaken for the burn. But really amazing move if there's a burn out there. This is stupidly good. And 2 continuous heals on all allies as well. So sort of like a bad Alcazar, but a bit better. Then he can also blow them up, which is great with turn meter boost for your team. He can extend the burns and poisons on his A1. And yeah, he lets poisons and burns ignore block damage unkillable. So people use them to like speed farm, I don't know, like Marishka defenses in Arena, because you can just kill them with burns and poisons, whereas otherwise you can't. Which is cool. So, yeah, 20%. He's a great champ. I think he's so underrated. So underrated. I like him a lot. I think probably an average player would definitely prefer to have Python. I think you probably generally prefer to have Python because he's just so core, right? Python, he is just the absolute archetype of what you want. He's so typical, and it makes it very easy to find places where he can shine. Doc's a bit more funky, which I love, but yeah, I think he's really good. So they're really good. Yeah, those epics are really good. Between the 2 days, it's a tough one. So I've rated these independently, and these lines are all longer than these, so we should really extend all of them. That's tough. So I don't know. We'll extend them all a bit. So something like that. Yeah, like it's tricky. It's tricky. I don't know. Something like that. Man, I'd probably be giving first to Kaimar, and then second to Cheshire Cat, and actually probably third to Theodore, probably, and then fourth to Ancora would be me. And then let's give it like a joint fifth to Thor and to Python, whichever you want. You want loads of tankiness, you want loads of damage. They're both very like Thor is just, I do loads of AoE damage. Python is, I do loads of healing and make you tanky. So yeah, but there's lots of good options there. Not amazing. These are like not the best of the best, but I mean, Cheshire Cat's super good. Theodore, Kaimar, super good. I feel like Ancora, Python, and Thor are definitely like a step below of like super good champions, but they're the more accessible, like they're former fusions, whereas like Cheshire Cat and Kaimar and Theodore are a bit more premium. But they're all good, great options. For the Voids, Hanorok, Warlord, and Venus. I'd be putting Warlord as similar. I maybe would put Onryo first and Warlord slightly second. I put to Hanorok maybe a bit behind Georgid, and Venus maybe a bit ahead, but still a bit behind. Yeah, I'd probably go Onryo or Warlord would be. I think they're both good options. I'd probably lean a bit more towards Onryo. Now the only exception would be, it depends if you've got other lockout champions like increased skill cooldown. And increasing skill cooldowns becomes a little less relevant with every mythical champion that they add. It's just not quite as good, but it is still very good. Like, I still use Fabian all the time. I still use Yumiko a lot. I would use Warlord, probably for sure as well. Warlord, though, definitely is a big deal for Orc faction crypts. For trying to complete faction wars hard, Warlord is massive. Onryo would be very strong as well, but not at the same level. But I mean, for just being able to delete a problem enemy, being like, oh god, they've got a Tetsuya, or I don't know if you fight Tetsuya in the Shadowkin crypt, probably not. But going like, they've got a White King Narcisse and Ancora, this is horrible. He can probably just one-shot them, which is pretty big. So I'll say Onryo first, Warlord second, and then, I don't know, Georgid probably third, Venus to Hanorok, maybe after that. Yeah, maybe they're joint fourth, something like that. But yeah, Ulfric, Ugo, Deacon and Ugo say very good. Ulfric's decent, but not crazy. Sabatha is good. She's actually been a little bit disappointing to me, but she's very good. Madame Ceres is good as well. I put her maybe in somewhat equal to Sabatha. Depends how many revivers you've got. You know, if you don't have any good revivers, Sabatha's great. If you do have good revivers, she's only an epic at the end of the day. Her stats are a bit weak. Madame Ceres is okay. But yeah, Deacon is a standout. Sorry, Deacon needs to have a longer thing. Deacon and Ugo really stand out. Two of the best epics in the entire game. Ulfric is fine. It's maybe a bit underrated. So yeah, and actually I should make a Chemtum a bit longer. Not as good as these two, but definitely stands out. So yeah, that's it for me. Let me know what you think. So that will be my sort of order. Yeah. What am I going to pull for? So this is a tricky one. I've got Kaimar. For me, it comes down to the Cheshire Cat versus Theodore, because I do need to pull some shards for this. If I'm pulling for Void shards, Onryo versus Warlord for me. I don't have either one, and that's tough. Onryo would be like, I probably prefer to have Onryo. I think he's kind of wacky, but Warlord would really help with orcs. So what I might do is I might just pull for Cheshire Cat. I might pull for the cat, the kitty cat. Or Theodore. I don't know. Let me know. What would you do if you were me? I find that tricky. We'll see what mood I'm in. I'm also tempted to pull for the cat because it's up first. If Theodore is up first, I pull for Theodore. I probably want Theodore a little bit more than I want the cat. I feel like Theodore's a little bit more unique. So that's tough, man. And I would like to have a Theodore. Because he's been around for ages and I never got him. Whereas at least the cat's kind of new. I don't feel so bad. That's tough though. I'll think about that. For me, well, I go for cat or Theodore. Haven't quite decided. And I should probably go for Warlord. Just because Orcs it's a struggle in Faction Wars. I do think this makes some of this move is so broken for Faction Wars hard, and this move is really good for Faction Wars hard as well. So yeah, we'll see. Sorry, I've got the hiccups. There we go. Guys, that's it. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Ooh, click, 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 click. Gotta get that champ training in, but not until CVC's done. Haha. I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.